I only want to do early career and I only want to do things that I've already experienced.
It takes many people a lifetime to kind of figure out what they really want to do in life.
It's not just what they do, it's also who they are.
Are.
It's all in the details. Third biggest lesson was just making sure you do that post analysis. If you show me that you've grown a page from 0 to 10,000 followers, I'll give it to you because you can do it. I feel like once you have a good LinkedIn account, that's your first step in personal branding.
So you actually have to sort of do a cost benefit analysis of how much is it that you actually want to take on loan. She's an inspiration for everyone who thinks that they're too young for that. Just at the age of 23, Miti Shah has achieved so much. She's a content creator, fab on LinkedIn, an early career mentor, and runs her own social media agency. And to top it all, she's an absolutely energetic ball of fire. Hi, Miti.
Hello.
Welcome to the season of Happy Hour with
Thank
FinCocktail.
you. I'm so excited. I'm finally here.
Thank you for doing this with us.
Of course. I wouldn't say no to both of you.
So we mentioned early career mentor in our introduction.
Correct.
And we know a little bit about career coaching and mentoring because we discussed it on a previous episode. But what exactly does an early career mentor mean, and what do you exactly do? I know that there are multiple levels to career coaching. Where exactly do you fit in?
So I think, Niyati, what you said is very interesting. There are, like, people don't look at it in that way, but there are so many levels to career coaching. There are so many different things that people do. There are so many specializations. And for me, like you said, it's more in the early career sector, you know. So it's more for people, not even people, for college students who are in their 11th grade, 12th grade, first year of college, second year of college, final year of college, and freshers. So basically, people who are in their early career stage, you know. So I help them with everything around, like, deciding which course to pursue, which university they should go to, should they stay in India, should they go abroad, you know, what kind of internships can they do, apart from internships, what should they be doing, how should their resume look like. Like, I feel like one thing that people don't know much or people don't talk about much is that, you know, at different levels of your career, your resume needs to look different, right? So when you just graduate college, it's different. When you're just out of high school, it's different. When you've got, like, let's say 3 to 4 years of work experience, sorry, it's different, right? So again, I feel like that's where I specialize in. I specialize in just helping people who are in their early career stage to reach that starting point in their career, you know, and, like, basically helping them with their first opportunity or, like, the first hand holding that they need.
Absolutely, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
And you're so right about the resumes being different at different points in your life, because I know this. Fresh out of college, I recently came across, some of my data stored on my laptop.
Correct. Huh.
And I looked back at my resume that I'd created for myself when I
My
just
God.
graduated from college. And then I looked at my resume that I made for myself about 3-4 years ago, and it looked like vastly different.
Yeah.
But now I also know that there's so much that goes behind these resumes. Even when you're applying to, different kind of colleges in different countries, it needs to look different.
Correct.
So I think that's a very, very valid point
Yeah.
that people should be very aware of.
100%. And I feel like now, especially because there are so many career coaches on Instagram, so many people creating content on careers, it's very important to know where you fit in and what type of template or what type of resume you should be using, you know. I feel like there's so much of confusion always, and there are a lot of times when a creator or a company that's making that reel that's showing the resume might not specify it, but you need to look into it and you need to understand whether this fits your, you know, like, quota. I don't know if quota is the right word, but
Right.
whether it fits your box. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely.
You know, so that's so important because the first resumes are always like those fancy
Basic-
Canva ones.
Yeah,
like, at
the
least
Canva
mine
ones,
was.
but
Yeah.
then it's information but not like relevant
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's not relevant. Yeah.
Nice. So just rewinding a little bit, I know that you did your BMS in finance,
Yes.
and then you kind of pivoted to career coaching. How did that happen?
I think it was a very interesting one because honestly, if I have to, like, attribute it to one thing, or if I have to say that, okay, it's only because of this, it has to be because of the lockdown.
Okay.
Like 100%. I feel like because, you know, I was at home, I was in my second year of college when COVID hit, and we were all at home, etc., etc. And I had so much time on my hands. And honestly, so the college that I went to, great college, great friends I made, everything was incredible. But like it was a little bit easy on the lectures part, so I could sit at home, be a little bit more relaxed, like sit at home and not just attend those online lectures, or not just be behind completing my assignments. I was doing a lot more. And I think that's what sort of gave me the time to sit and explore and sit and understand and sit and just like, look at what are the different things I can do. Because honestly speaking, for me, like, I have to say one more thing. I think before 2020 and after 2020, I've been two completely different people, Like, obviously, there are some things that are very similar, but I've grown in a very different way. I think anyone who was in college in 2020, or who was, in that um, adulting stage, like early adulting stage, not even like 2021 adulting, like 18, 19, 20 adulting, they'll relate to it because you're just exposed to so much more. I feel like I became so much more mature than I was supposed to be. And because of that, I realized that finance is not something that I want to do. Before it was like, okay, let me do finance, because we've all heard this thing, ki, okay, from finance you can go into marketing, but if you choose marketing, you can't go back to finance. So I took BMS finance because I was like, okay, that's like a wider bucket. It's, like finance with management, it's a safer option. I'll be able to do a lot more if I do that. But then slowly down the line, I was like, okay, no, this is not what I want to do. So it's like, okay, let me finish my degree. Let me, finish in finance. Let me finish my major in finance, but start like side by side, let me start working on some other marketing related thing. Let me start looking into it. Let me start looking into different internships. So I feel like my interest was always in like marketing, being in front of the camera, doing like fun creative stuff. But at that time, I just didn't have the courage to like explore it or only focus on that, because I, like, at that point I thought that it's not enough, because like you're always listening to these things that no, finance is good, finance is better, you learn better in finance. And I even wanted to do law for a very long time, and then I just dropped all those ideas. So yeah, I think that pivot came super naturally into marketing for me. And after I came into marketing, I was like, okay, wait, I love this space of like teaching and training also, because I was doing that in COVID. Like, I was helping, I had joined this one volunteer organization, I was helping them. And one of my first internships, like my first proper internship in life, was when I was assisting this education startup, so like this edtech startup. So for me, I think all of that suddenly came together, and I was like, okay, wait, I can mix these two and do something. And that's when I started pivoting. And over time, I've also realized that career coaching as a field is more experience based and more practice based, apart from just the theory. Like, of course, the theory is super important, but it's also a lot of experience, a lot of practice, a lot of like research, talking to people, learning about different courses. Because I mean, there's so much of syllabus nowadays that's outdated, right? So you can't just focus on that if you want to guide other people about their future. You need to keep learning. So yeah, very long story, but long story short, it just came very naturally to me. And I think it was just a mix of like a lot of reflecting and a lot of like, okay, wait, I did this internship and I really enjoyed it, and this is what I took back from it. And all of that reflecting happened because I had the time during COVID.
Superb. But it's
Yeah.
great to get that sort of clarity at such a young age. It
Yeah.
takes many people a lifetime to kind of figure out what they really want to do in life. You go from one job to another in hunt of your passion, or like something that you really
Yeah.
want to do, but sometimes people aren't able to hit the right spot.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
It's tough.
but
And
can I say that your career coaching and content creation journey kind of began side by side? Is that what happened?
yeah, I think it started with my content creation, and then it sort of again not pivoted, but the content creation, like it started with that, and the career coaching just jumped in.
Okay.
Because I was always like, I know I want to create content on this specifically, because again, my idea was just that, I want to be able to, like, how they say, like, I'm sure we've all heard this from our parents, that when I tell you something, you don't want to listen, but the moment your friend tells you to do the same thing, you will do it. Like,
Absolutely.
and that's a fact. I've been there,
I
I'm
think
sure you've been
everyone's
there.
been there, especially as
Exactly.
teenagers, where
Yeah.
we never took our parents seriously and we were
Seriously.
just like, whatever,
No.
no. It
No.
was a
Yeah.
standard
Yeah.
rebellious no
No,
without putting
exactly.
any thought into it.
Exactly. So that was the same for me also. And then I gave it a thought. I was like, you know what? I remember someone actually told me this because I was interning with this really popular influencer at that time. And, someone from her team, like my senior over there, she told me when I started creating content, she's like, okay, Miti, you know what? I know a lot of 19-year-olds, and you're one 19-year-old who has a lot of experience for a 19-year-old. So, and I know you like all this teaching, training, talking, and stuff. So, I think you should just start talking about your experiences with this, And she sort of put that spotlight on me, and that's when I was like, okay, yeah, wait, I need to do this. Like, I love talking about it, I enjoy it, and I've kind of done it. And then, that highlight came in that I was like, I want to kind of be someone who can guide other college students or guide people that are my age and younger than me with a focus of, oh, okay, you know what? She's telling us because she's also gone through something similar. And I feel like it's just always easier to hear it from someone closer to your age. Like, I always feel that, when you need
Absolutely.
advice, or when you're figuring something out, when you just need to talk to someone, you need to vent, like, it's always easier to hear it from someone who's like closer to your age because you relate to them more. So
Absolutely.
that's how I started, and then slowly I started getting a lot of DMs for, a lot of people were like, okay, can you just get on a Zoom call with me and guide me? And I was like, okay, but I don't have a like formal degree in this, or I don't
Mm.
have a formal certification, let's say. I don't have a formal certification, but they were like, no, that's okay, that's fine. If you can just get us like if we can just get on a call, you can just tell us,
Share some
what you
tips.
think,
Yeah.
share some tips. How did you do this? How did you get that specific internship? What did you do this? Like, we'll be happy. That's okay. And I was like, okay, cool. And then for a lot of those, I didn't even charge, because I
Of
was like,
course.
okay, cool. But then slowly I started learning. Slowly I started doing a lot of courses. And I was like, okay, wait, now I want to do this professionally. And,
More
I want to do
formally.
more of this formally. Exactly.
Nice. Very interesting.
Yes.
So, like you mentioned, your target audience is really like students that are in college, young people, who want somebody relatable to
Yes.
speak to. But I feel like it might also have a flip side where, being one of the youngest career coaches in the country, you might not be taken seriously by their parents, or, face that ageism kind of issue. Has that happened to you, and
100%.
how do you deal with it?
So I think that does happen, but like, touch wood, luckily, parents have never been an issue. Like, I
Okay.
feel like parents have always been like, whenever I've spoken to certain mentees or, certain students, their parents are always very on board with the idea of them like talking to me, or of them, getting to know everything through my experience. But I think it's more so like, sometimes in your
Hmm.
industry, you might not be looked at in the same way,
Correct.
because people might be like, okay, she's fresh, she's new, she doesn't have a lot of experience, she's also still learning, which I totally get, and I think that's also specifically why I've been very careful to choose my micro niche as a career coach, my specialization. That no, I only want to do early career, and I only want to do things that I've already experienced, right? Because what's the point of me giving career advice to someone who's had like 6 years of work experience and now wants to change their stream? Because
Right.
I don't have, like, of course I have that basic knowledge because I've spoken to
But
people
you've
and I've
not been there
networked,
in
but I've
that
not
kind
been
of
there.
a situation, so it's hard to
Exactly.
sort of
So,
coach someone through it.
exactly, but if you come to me and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm in my first year of college, I'm studying finance, I hate it, I'm not enjoying it, I want to take a gap year and then, start again, I can guide you over there. Like, I can tell you what to do, I can tell you where to start, stop, because nowadays I also feel like dropping out is so
Common.
common, and it's great for whoever can do it, but I don't think it should be looked at
Casually.
so casually, like, now it's very casual now. I feel like if you have like a ready plan, or if you have something that you're very good at, which you might not need that additional education for, or of course there are multiple factors involved, we can't even box it into one,
Right.
then it's okay. But like, because like, I'm just saying this because I've noticed so many people coming up to me, they're like, oh, I just want to drop out, it's fine, I'm just going to do a few diploma courses and then continue doing that. So I feel like that kind of made me realize again that there's a lot of thinking and reflection that people need to do, and they kind of
Right.
need that guidance for it.
Right. It's a
you
gap
know
that you can definitely address.
100%. I also feel like, yeah, I've been very privileged. Like, I'm saying I'm privileged enough, to have that family support, and not just family support, to also have that background where I've been given access to be able to talk to so many people. I'm from a good school, from a good college. I've met so many of my college and school alumni. I have my own laptop. I could research, but then again, I feel like there are so many people my age in different parts of our country who might not, it's not that they don't have the resources, it might also be that they don't have that know-how because they've never been exposed to it.
Right.
So again, I feel like what I'm doing kind of becomes very helpful for them because I'm doing the research on your
For
part
them.
for you.
Right.
It's
Very
it's
interesting.
it's like that. Yes.
Very nice. So I also know that you run your own social media agency.
Yes.
So what is that? What exactly do you like do over there?
So honestly, I haven't really like spoken about this enough. I think this is the first time I'm talking about it in like on social media or in front of the camera. But so basically, I have my agency called Miti Shah Services. Again, all of this started out with freelancing in college. When my Instagram started growing, when I was doing all this career coaching, a lot of people came up to me. They were like, "Okay, you know what? You're doing such a good job with your page. Can you just handle mine as well?" And at that time, it was like for a few extra bucks. I was like, "Yeah,
Sure.
chalo, let me do it. It's fine." And like I told you, my college environment was chill. Like I was
Hmm.
having fun. I could study. I was like focusing on my academics,
And you could do
and
this
I
at
could
that.
do all of this. So I was like, okay, theek hai, chalo, why not? Let me just do it. It'll be good. So I started off, and then I kept getting more and more clients. And then there was a point where I was like, okay, you know what? I can't do all of this by myself. So I think from freelancing first, that transition to a solopreneur happened, where I was still doing it on my own, but I had like one, two people to help me, and I had one, two like freelancers that I was working with. And then after college, I remember my parents had this discussion with me. They were like, okay, you know what, Meeti? Now you have to tell us, you have to decide, do you want to do this? If you want to, we have like you have our full support. We're here to support you, but go ahead and like take the bigger leap.
Correct.
Because how much will you just do by yourself? And I was
Absolutely.
also like, yeah. And my main thing was, see, if I want to continue my content creation and my career coaching and this, I have to find a way to balance it out. And
Right.
that's like the best way to do it is by like hiring more people, right?
Absolutely.
So then that transition from freelancing to solopreneur to, okay, TK, you know what? Now let me sort of start building my own agency happen. And even now, I think it's very low key.
Okay.
Like my company's name is Miti Shah Services. You'll not see me like advertise it. Not just advertise it, okay, maybe that's the
Or
wrong
even
word.
speak
Or
about
even
it
like
much.
speak about it much. It's very low key because I have my own team that's managing it, and I have a certain niche, that a certain niche based clients that I take. And I also kind of have a very, like, I have a very strategic approach to it. Like there are a lot of things which I do, there are also a lot of things which I just don't do.
Okay.
So yeah, like it's very different. And I think again it all just stemmed from freelancing to, okay, I'm enjoying this, but if I want to do it more seriously, I need to hire more people. And if I'm hiring more people, it's not just freelancing then. So that's how that agency transition kind of happened.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
so what did you said that you have a niche that you sort of
Yes.
do
Yes.
the social media management for?
Correct.
What is this niche and how large
So
is your team?
So basically, my team were currently 7 people, like my
Okay.
entire team. Again, like if I had to divide it, I have 3 people that work with me full time for my social media management. Out of 3 of them, one is an intern; she's an intern, and the other 2 are again college students that are working with me for this. Then I have 2 editors; both of them are freelancers, so that's 5 of us. I have someone who helps with LinkedIn,
Okay.
who helps me with LinkedIn, my accounts LinkedIn. I have someone who helps my clients LinkedIn. So I manage essentially, like if I had to describe my agency, I would say I do organic social media growth for Instagram and LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay.
So I help your accounts grow on LinkedIn as well as Instagram. And it's not just personal branding or not just like creator accounts. You can be, you can have a service based business, you can have a product based business, any of it, right? So I have someone who helps with LinkedIn, that is 3 4 5 6, and I have one person who's like a content strategist who works with me and just overlooks content strategy for all clients and for my account, for my content creation journey.
Nice.
Yes.
So you
And yeah, and my micro niche. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry for cutting you. So again, my micro niche is very specific. I basically only work with middle-aged women entrepreneurs. And I wouldn't say just middle-aged, but like more so people who are in their mid 30s and mid sort of 50s. That you
That
can say
bracket.
target audience or that bracket. I work with them on their businesses. It's like all my clients are only and only middle-aged women entrepreneurs who are building their own service or product-based businesses. I don't think there's any specific reason as to why I have that niche. Like when I started out now, I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make.
Okay.
I'm just giving unnecessary gyan.
No, no,
But this
please.
is a mistake that a lot of like freelance social media managers make, where they're like, okay, you know what? I'm only going to work with clients who want me to do their personal branding, or I'm only going to work with people who are in the product space, or I'm only going to work with people who have service based businesses. That's what I did. But then over time I realized that my target client is not just like, of course that's a very important part of it, but it's not just what they do, it's also who they are, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's how much I can help them,
Correct.
you know. So now all of these women, they're all incredible. All my clients, touch wood, I get along with them very well. Like I told you, I'm a chatterbox, so I get along with them very well. And they're also the ones who kind of have that basic technical know-how.
Mhm.
They have their kids around them, they can do the research on their own, but they just need people who can assemble everything for them and who can sort of make it happen, like someone who can convert their ideas to execution, someone who can execute it for them. So that's where my niche is, and that's exactly what I do. Like literally all of my clients are only and only women entrepreneurs who are middle aged and who are basically building their own product or service based businesses, or who are content creators themselves.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
So, Meeti, you also mentioned that you worked with this very one famous influencer. Now I know because I've read on your LinkedIn that you worked with Masoom Minawala.
Yes.
Tell us 3 things that you've learned from her, because she's stellar at doing what she does.
She is.
So tell us what you learned from her.
So I basically worked with Masoom for around 1.5 years, and if I had to tell you 3 things that I've learned from her, first and foremost, your team is important. Like I have had an incredible time working with her, because she always took care of what we thought like it mattered to her. It was not like, okay, TK, you know what, cool, these people are giving me their suggestions, but like whatever. Like she really listened to her team, and she really knew how to delegate the work and like where to hire more. So I think the first thing that I've learned from her is your team is super important. Build your team wisely, choose your team wisely, and make sure
That you listen.
make sure you listen to them and make sure you grow with them. Like it shouldn't be that only you're growing, because she really helped all of us grow with her. So I think that is one thing. Second is, it's all in the details. Today I feel like I remember when I started creating content, a lot of people told me that, oh my god, your video edits look so professional, and that time that editor phase was not there. People were editing on their own, only on InShot, Reels and all. Because I learned from her, I learned the basics, the detailing. Ki, okay, theek hai, all text should go at the same time. This, when you're adding an element, this type of a pop-up sound should come. Frames take care of, so it's all in the details. That's the second thing. And the third learning is, it's always important to reflect. After you've done a campaign, after you've worked on a project, after a month, see how your content has performed, or not just content, anything in general, any project, do the insights. That is something that I learned from her. I never knew the importance of that before, but she was the one who ingrained that thing of it's very very important to look at the performance, to see the data, to see ki, okay, theek hai, in this reel we did this, so that means this is what we should continue doing.
Right,
Or this is why it
what's
performed
worked,
well.
or
This is what's worked, this is what's not worked. So the third biggest lesson was just making sure you do that post analysis. Because you're also like
caught up in doing
caught up
things in the
doing
moment.
things. Yeah, like we do we do it in the moment, and then you're just like, okay, now it's done and dusted.
Yeah.
But with her, I learned the importance of actually sitting and breaking down, and I'm not getting the term in my head, but like actually sitting and breaking down and understanding what worked, what didn't work, like basically just doing a post analysis of everything.
That's superb. These are like amazing tips, and I feel like every creator can learn from them. I mean, it's not something that is just specific to the fashion industry. It's
Not
something
at
that every
all.
creator can learn from.
Exactly. I mean, what I'm doing is so different from what she's doing or what I was doing with her when I was working with her, as part of her team. And in fact, this is one thing, like I have to say this because she's so incredible. I'm like fully, like I
In
love
awe.
her. I'm fully in awe of her. She always told all of us that it's never you're working under me, it's always you're working with me.
Yeah.
Like she was so on point with that it's not that y'all are under me, we're
Yeah.
all working together. If I'm growing, y'all are also growing. So I really like applaud her for that, because it's very few people at that stage who have that compassion in them to say this and put it out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I heard you mention the words personal branding. And I know from your content that there is a lot of emphasis on sort of networking and personal branding, and you being a chatterbox, I'm sure you have like a great network
Yes.
that you've built for yourself. So what would you say that in today's day and age, how much emphasis should someone lay on personal branding and networking, especially when they come from your age group?
Correct. It's the most important. I feel like today, if I've started my agency, it's only because of my personal brand. It's only because people saw me create content on Instagram because of that personal brand that they were like, okay, you know what, you're doing it so well. Can you please manage it for me?
Hmm.
You know, tomorrow, if you just reach out to them, I mean, of course, that's not bad, don't get me wrong. But like, if you just reach out to them on email or, like, you meet them, you reach out to your target client, tell them, okay, this is what I can do for you, it's great. But when they see that you have a personal brand on social media, on LinkedIn, you have the numbers, you have people that you're working with that are incredible, brands that are really good, you know you're working with other very well known people in a particular industry, it's like a cherry on top, right? Then it's like all the more, then you don't need to convince them that much. And I also feel like then it becomes much easier, like I'm talking from a purely student or like a girl who's in her early 20s point of view, that then it's much easier for you to also convince them to invest well in you, right? Because again, you're also a fresher, everyone has that mindset. But when you have that personal brand, when you have that, just that outlook about you, that thing which makes you unique, it's so much more easier. It's like that is your pitch now. For me, 90% of the times, you won't believe, Niyati, whatever clients have approached me on social media or in my personal circle, they've all, like, whenever I tell them, okay, can I send you my portfolio, see links of the work that I do, they're like, no, we don't need to see it, we've seen your Instagram, that's enough. Because that becomes your portfolio,
Absolutely. That
you
acts
know
as your pitch
catalyst.
book. Yeah, you don't
Exactly.
have to send them any extra material then.
Exactly. So I really think it's just like, I feel like it's the most important thing which most college students avoid. Because sometimes you're shy, or you feel like, okay, maybe like this isn't, like, at one point, at least when I started creating content and when I started building my personal brand in 2020, it wasn't cool.
Hmm.
Now it's very cool to build a personal brand,
Absolutely.
because that transition has happened over 3 years now. I mean, fourth year, where it's going to be March in 2 months. But now the transition has happened, so now people know. But at that time, it wasn't that cool.
Cool.
So I feel like even now, I feel like people shy away, because again, they feel like, oh, personal brand means I have to become a content creator,
Hmm.
I have to create content, I can't do it, I don't want to put myself in front of the camera. But it's not just that. There's a lot of elements to personal branding. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with personal branding. And I feel like, to answer your question, it's like for college students, it's the most important. And like, even one more thing, I feel like, I'm sure you have also come across it, these case studies from companies where they're like, oh, this 13-year-old student sent me a cold email. I don't remember which luxury brand, I think it was LV. But I saw this post which said that this 13-year-old's mom sent her designs, like her daughter's designs or her son's designs, to the LV team, some samples that he or she had made, and they were so impressed, they hired the 13-year-old
Wow.
as a designer, or gave the 13-year-old some project. Like, I'm sure this has happened. I'm not getting the company's name in my head.
Yeah.
But how insane is that? Again,
That's
that's not
crazy.
just personal
Yeah.
branding, but that's putting
You're
yourself
out
out
there.
there, putting your services out there, which I think is super important. Like, even in Nikhil Kamat's podcast, he had mentioned, I think it was with Tanmay Bhatt, if
Hmm.
I'm not wrong, where he was like that, companies hire these marketing managers with so many years of experience. They want to see degrees and, professional experience. If you want to hire someone for your social media, just ask them to, show you some proof of work. Like, if you show me that you've grown a page from 0 to 10,000 followers, I'll give it to you, because you can do it.
Yeah, that's enough proof.
Yeah, and I think that is your personal brand.
Correct.
It's what you do apart from your degree and apart from, your normal work experience, or how else can you sort of show it and how else can you highlight it.
Correct. Showcasing yourself,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
But how does one go about creating a strong personal brand? I mean, can you give us some tips for our young followers?
I think when it comes to personal branding, there's so much. The first thing is, like I always tell people this, start writing on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to build your personal brand. And honestly, when you're starting out, it's not a lot of effort. It's really not a lot of effort. Just like sit with yourself every Sunday. Like, this is what I started doing. I used to sit with myself every Sunday. I used to be like, okay, next week, 3 LinkedIn posts I have to do. These are the topics I'll talk about. And now that we have Chat GPT, we have so many insane AI tools that can help you draft good posts, right? So, I feel like start off with LinkedIn when you want to build your personal brand. Start posting on LinkedIn. Start asking your friends, because again, LinkedIn algorithm is very friendly. Start asking your friends to comment on your posts. Start asking them to like your posts. Start with LinkedIn. I feel like once you have a good LinkedIn account, that's your first step in personal branding.
Sure.
First and foremost, the most important one. After your LinkedIn, once that is sorted, you can also go ahead and build your website. Then you can also start talking about your services on Instagram. Again, you don't have to be a content creator. You just have to have a good presence. People need to know that you're out there, you're doing this. This is what you can help them with, etc., etc. So I feel like, for youngsters, or for people who are just out of college or just in their final year, second year, final year of college, I have to tell them, please start with building your personal brand on LinkedIn. Like, again, LinkedIn helps you get clients, LinkedIn helps you get opportunities.
Wow.
So it's super, super, super important. I really think that's the first personal brand, sort of gyan that I would give. Like, that's what I tell everyone, that just start on LinkedIn. Instagram, still people have that mindset that I might not look cool in front of my friends. I don't want to do it. I don't want to talk about this. It's so boring, but it's very important. And now I've noticed, like, you see these travel creators on Instagram. There's Glocal Journal, Tanya is there. They all create content on LinkedIn as travel creators. Imagine. You're like, you might not even think, because you're like, LinkedIn people come here for professional work. But that's not true. That's the assumption that we all have. Like, I mean, they're travel creators. For them, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest is great. But they also put in so much effort into LinkedIn, because they know that's where you can build a strong personal brand.
Absolutely. We have
So,
a classic example of Siley having built her own personal brand on LinkedIn,
She's
and
just become a
how
top voice.
she's
I know.
doing so crazy well.
Insane. It's insane.
Nice, great. So now I know that you have multiple sources of income, right? You're a career coach and you're sort of running your own agency and all of that. So that brings me to this very important question of, how do you really manage all your money? Do you do it yourself? Do you entrust it to someone else to do it for you? How do you go about with that bit?
So I'll tell you, I think there are like two aspects to it. One is so all the money, I don't know if I can call it money management. You would be the right person to tell me that. But like, I take care of making sure that all my invoices are out and all the money is coming in.
Right.
And my mom takes care of, making sure that the money is going to the right places.
Right.
And it's getting invested properly. And if a payment hasn't come, how we can get that payment to come, or how like my ITR can be filed, or how when it needs to be filed, what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done, all of that. So I think my mom takes care of that aspect, which is not the best. I feel like I need to take it into my own hands now, because you also don't get that full sense of independence, right, till you're doing it on your own. So again, touch wood, like, I come from that privilege where I have that support, where my mom is there to help me out and take care of it, and so that really does make a difference. But yeah, my mom, like, for me, like, the only thing she's told me is, because I'm not that good with numbers, and I'm also, like, as a person, I'm just not very, like, confident yet about a lot of financial decisions. Of course, I'm learning and I'm improving and I'm following you guys, so I see the content you all post, I know about all these schemes and everything, so I'm learning. It's not that I don't want to learn. I want to learn and I'm doing it, but it's a little tough for me sometimes, so for me, like, my mom has always just told me, just maintain that Excel sheet. Your debit and your credit needs to be there. These are the payments that need to come in every month. This is what is outgoing,
Correct.
This much I invested in this. Like, Canva ka premium le liya, to this month. Like, my mom tells me, ki, even the smallest, even if you're paying 500 per month for something, 1,000 per month for something, account for it. Just put it on that Excel sheet, and then slowly you learn better.
Great. I'm so glad that you mentioned your mom, and it's amazing that she's able to do this for you, because there aren't a lot of women actually taking charge of finances, whether it's for themselves or their family members in this country. So it's amazing that your mom's doing this for you.
Yeah, it's really, again, that's it, and it's very heartwarming that I have her support. Like, I know that my money's not sitting idle.
Absolutely. but
because
but I want to tell you something, that you said that you're not very good with numbers, and it's like kind of overwhelming for you. But you don't really have to be good with numbers, Niti.
yeah,
It's not about the numbers as much as it is about sort of just being generally a little bit more alert and aware about what's actually happening with your money, as opposed to numbers. If
yeah,
you even spend 5 minutes a day literally reading like money control or some topics related to finance or personal finance, I'm sure you will be much more confident about dealing with it yourself, taking a little bit
100%.
more interest in where the money is actually going. So I'm sure your mom's investing it in some mutual fund schemes or something of that sort. So you can probably just start by asking her that, Mom, can you tell me which schemes am I invested in?
Yeah,
If you just know the scheme name, it'll probably sort of interest you to Google that up and see, okay, this is the scheme name. What does the scheme actually do?
do.
Which stocks is it
So
actually
true.
investing in it?
So
You'll
true.
kind of get
Yeah.
a better idea of where your money is going. What kind of return is it making for you? And as you grow your company, that's only going to help you, because you will be able to take more and more calls about how to manage it more efficiently.
Yeah, 100%. And I also feel sometimes little secret I think I just use this, oh, I don't like numbers, finance is so boring,
To
as
get
like
away
a
from
to
it.
just get away from it, because I'm like, yeah, I'm
So
already
much. I'm
doing
already doing so
so
much.
much. Now this one thing I don't want to include in my
Yeah.
schedule even once in a month, but you're right. I think 5 minutes a day
Doable.
is
Like you said,
doable.
like you
Yeah.
set targets for yourself on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
3 posts a week. You started with that. This is just 5 minutes a day of reading something on economic times or money control or something like that,
Yeah.
and just kind of becoming a little bit more aware about what's really happening in
About
this
it.
space. And if you're really looking at like managing your personal wealth, all of these websites like Mint or Economic Times, they have a personal finance
Section.
category on their website,
Hmm.
and you can just sort of click that, and then there'll be lots of articles related to mutual funds, to taxation, to sort of managing your income tax returns, stuff
Hmm.
like that. So you'll probably, if you spend 5 minutes a day, it's only going to, like, 1 year later, I'm sure you'll come back to me and tell me that, okay, Nidhi, now I know how to file my own taxes.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and that'll just sort of give you a sense of pride in yourself.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think 5 minutes a day is manageable.
Yeah.
Like it's not too much. And again, because I have someone that I can talk to it about,
Yeah.
it's easier.
And it's your mom, so
Yeah.
she's definitely going
Yeah.
to sort of walk you through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it's not that I don't know anything at all. Like I
Right.
know it.
Right.
And again, because now see, apart from just like economic times or like seeing these websites, I follow you guys, I
Correct.
follow finance pages.
Correct.
So that little bit of awareness is always there, but yeah, I've never like put it to thought. Like I'm just consuming the
Correct.
information.
Correct. Nice.
100%. But Niyati, I have a question for you. I feel like this is a dilemma that I have sort of seen in a lot of students that I've mentored, and in general, I've also gone through this. Um, so the first one is that when it comes to taking loans to study abroad and stuff like that, how should one go about it? Like, what are the steps that a student needs to take? Like, what should they be doing? Because I think there's just so much confusion around it. People feel like it feels very not far fetched, but like too lengthy of a process. Like, how can one go about that whole like loan aspect when they want to study abroad, or for like a scholarship or anything on those lines?
So I think when it comes to taking a loan, especially for education, it's very important to do the research and find out from multiple sort of banks what the best rate is that you're getting. Because sometimes what happens is that in a hurry, you will probably just sort of look at one or two places and be like, okay, I'm getting
Oh
a good
yeah.
rate, and then like just take
Huh.
the loan or whatever. But an important aspect of it is to consider the tenure of the loan. How long is it going to be? How much are you going to have to sort of service on a monthly basis or an annual basis? How much the rate of interest the bank is giving you. So it's
Yeah.
important to sort of analyze these things, because sometimes what happens is that you'll take out a loan, and then you don't know, you'll just probably be servicing it for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah,
20-25 years
exactly.
you're servicing one loan, and that doesn't make sense. So you actually have to sort of do a cost benefit analysis of how much is it that you actually want to take on loan.
Hmm.
How much are you going to be able to service?
Yeah.
Sometimes it may just be out of your reach, and then it might not make sense to even take that loan and then sort of
Correct.
like spend the rest of your
So
life
true.
just
So
servicing it.
true. Yeah.
You
So
probably
true.
have to tell yourself at some point that maybe I can't afford this.
I feel like this is so important because what happens is a lot of students, or like in general, like we go to the bank to get their advice. But the truth is that you need to research and just go to decide, like go to like get information from them, not like like I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, you're right.
explaining it in the correct way, but yeah, this is so insightful, so
Yeah,
insightful.
because most people always think that loan le lenge, but एक बार ले तो लिया, then what? How are you going to be able to service the loan for the rest of 20 years or 15 years or whatever
Yeah.
it is? And it doesn't happen too often in India, but I know that abroad there are so many students that take on loans, and well into their adulthood and their careers, they are still paying off these loans,
Yeah.
and they are finding it hard to do that.
And then you have to
So
continue doing what you don't want to do because
because you
it's
have to
paying
pay
you well
those
because you have to
EMIs,
pay the loan. Yeah.
so it's very important to first be able to assess whether you actually can afford to take that loan on, or whether you need to look for other career
Options.
options or alternative education options or whatever it
So
is.
true. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so true. And so that was the first thing. That was so insightful. I feel like I never gave that a thought, now it makes so much sense. And the second thing is, nowadays there's so much of information around these government schemes, investment schemes, or like, oh, you get this benefit, that benefit, like there just is a lot of information around it, and not just on social media, in print media, everywhere, so how can we, like as a student, or as someone who has very basic knowledge in finance, how can you assess that, or how can you kind of like understand whether this is like verified, not verified, whether this is okay for you, not okay for you, like should you like go to someone for that advice, should you bring someone on board, like what are the steps that we can take to make sure that you're verifying that, like I don't know if my question is clear, but just to make sure that whatever information you're consuming, you're also like verifying whether it's correct or no.
Correct. So, like you said, there are multiple of these government schemes out there that provide benefits to students, right?
Correct.
But I think the most important thing to do is to just go on the government website.
Hmm.
That's the main thing. That's the only sort of place where you can actually verify what the details of these schemes are, how much of a benefit are you actually getting,
Yeah.
okay, and how often is this benefit available to you, whether it's annual or once in a lifetime, or how does it work. So the
Correct.
government website is obviously the only most
Best way
reliable
to
sort of
verify it.
way to verify this. But also it's important for you to assess whether these benefits are actually really helpful to you and
Hmm.
applicable to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might not be applicable to you at all. Students think that they are eligible for all kind of student benefits
Benefits.
that these government schemes have to offer, but sometimes they're really not applicable for you.
Yeah, there are a lot of, and all of that is, very like it's in
This
that gray
yojana and that
area.
yojana, so I know it's
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah.
So you really need to get into the nuances of whether you are actually going to benefit out of sort of applying for that particular yojana or scheme, and whether they will even accept your application over there. Sometimes you don't fit the category.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
So that's
So I think the
something.
best way to verify is just like make sure you go to the government scheme or that
Yeah.
particular whatever sources website.
So it's really important also to verify the credibility of your sources. For example, you've seen a particular reel on a creator's social media, like on Instagram, you saw a creator post a reel about this.
Correct.
Is this creator really credible? What is his or her educational background? What is their sort of expertise on this particular subject? Are they Do they have the know-how to sort of tell you whether you should be applying for a particular subsidy or not applying for the subsidy?
Yeah.
And more often than not, they put a lot of sort of details of these kind in their captions. So
Hmm.
look at the captions as well, because there's only so much that you can talk about in a few
Yeah.
seconds, right?
Exactly.
And we know now
Exactly.
that
Now we know
people
that.
don't want to listen to long reels
Long form
and people
content.
going about
Yes.
on and on about a particular thing. So it's better that you sort of read the caption, understand what the point it is that they're exactly trying to make, probably go to their link in bio to see if there's any more details on this, and check their credibility, because sometimes people just take things off the internet with
Yeah.
chat gpt and all that around.
It's very
Copy pasting
easy.
and all that has become very sort of easy and common, and it might not be the most efficient way for you to gain that kind of knowledge. So just, I think, a little bit of a background
Check.
research,
Yeah.
background check on the credibility, and also do your own research, because obviously, somebody can only tell you about a particular topic in short on social
Hmm.
media, especially Instagram.
Yeah.
But when you need to get into further details, it's important that you sort of, Google it up, check the website, the official websites, read up on it as much as possible. And then, obviously, if you have doubts, then you can sort of reach out to a creator or friends in the industry or whatever to sort of help you with that. But
Yeah.
doing your background research is very, very
Very
important.
important. Yeah. And I also feel like that's again a learning for us as creators. Now to
Yeah.
always tell people that this is the information I'm giving you. This is where I got it from. But make sure you do your research.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what happens with a lot of these financial schemes and products is that it's not a one size fits all kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's not like what may be applicable to me is applicable to you as well. It might not be.
Yeah.
It might be completely different for you, completely different for the stage in life that you're at, completely different for what, your goals in life are. So, even when we talk about products and schemes on our page, we always mention that it is not meant for everyone, and it's not a blanket recommendation that we're giving by any means,
Yeah.
because it's really not. You might come to me and tell me that, okay, these are my financial goals, this is my age, this is what I want to achieve in the next 10 years of my life. It might be very different for you as compared to the person who's of the same age as you.
Yeah.
Their goals might be very different.
Very
What
different.
they want out of their portfolio, financial portfolio, may be very different. So it's very important for you to not just take it as a blanket recommendation. Do your own research and see if it's
Research.
actually making sense in your portfolio.
Yeah, so true. So true. I feel like, again, as creators, we're there to inform you about it and to make you
Yeah,
aware about it. Like,
yeah,
even same for education, now, for anything career related. I'm here to tell you about it, but you need to decide by doing your own research over and above of what I've told you, whether it like fits your cup or doesn't.
absolutely,
You
absolutely.
know?
That's the main thing. Is
Yeah.
there anything else you want me to sort of
No, I think
answer when it
these
comes
these
to?
were two things. I was like, I'm gonna ask you. These are my questions. I was like, I will definitely ask you because I get so many queries for the first one. And for the second one, I myself am confused 90% of the time because I'm like, okay, is this applicable to me? Not applicable to me? Should I trust this? What am I supposed like? Should I forward this reel to my mom?
Yeah,
Should I ask her about it? But now I think doing my own research and reading the caption is so important.
yeah, very important. So now I have one last question for you.
Okay.
And looking towards the future, what is in store for Miti Shah in the next couple of years?
Honestly, I think I don't know about next couple of years, but I think in the next 2 years, I would say, of course, I'm really looking at building my own agency more and more. I'm very passionate about like teaching and training and doing all of these things. So I want to get into, like I want to build an edtech startup or at least some type of education based IP maybe or something on those lines. A little different from what I'm doing, but also very similar to what I'm doing. So hopefully 2024 should be the year, since when I'm working on it, and I am working on it. But I think 2024 year will be the time when I'm executing it fully. I'm really looking at that. Like if you would ask me professionally, um And personally, I'm really looking forward to a lot of like solo travel this year,
Wow.
because I think last year, like 2023, for me was all about like traveling for work alone and catching flights alone and, doing things which I've never done. Like I was really pushed out of my comfort zone. So now I think 2024 is the year that I'm going to enjoy it a little more, like not just do it because
You
I
have
have
to.
to. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that. And hopefully, I think I really want to, gift myself something like a good investment, maybe in gold or something else. I don't know. I think I'm still in
You
that
know
planning
whom to
stage.
ask.
Yes, I know who to come to. I know who to come to, without a doubt. And my first phone will go to y'all, without a doubt.
So thank you so much for joining us today, Meeti. I think it was a great chat. I had a great time learning so much from you. It was fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And to everyone who's watching this video, make sure you like, share, subscribe, send this video link to all your friends, post it on your Instagram. And yeah, like drop in comments, tell us how you liked this episode.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.